Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've now transitioned into our next plenary, which is building the rural economy as an independent economy. These are some of the presentations that we really look forward to in Social Business Day, because we've got practitioners coming through who've been involved in microcredit, social business for many, many years. It's absolutely a treasure trove of experience that they come up with. And without giving up too much, because Suresh will be doing his introduction as well, but we've got the likes of Corazon, Nurjahan, Zahir, Steve, Shan, Mankar, Shrestha, all of who've been practitioners for many, many decades right now. And their treasure trove of experience is something which inspires us. And I thought I should just put that personal note through to Suresh. I won't keep you for too long, Suresh. Over to you, Suresh Krishna, the moderator of the session, who's the co-founder and CEO and managing director of Unisocial Business Foundation, Bangalore. Over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Prometheus, and welcome all my panelists. And so nice to see you all again after almost a year, I think, or maybe before year we all met in Bangkok, and last 1 year we missed it, and this year also we are missing seeing each other. But nevertheless, at least we are able to meet in virtually, at least. Because I did have opportunity to meet Steve, but others I did not have earlier. But to start without wasting time, I think I know that we are running late a little bit today in the sessions. The whole panel now is planning to discuss about building rural economy as an independent economy. I have a wealth of experience, people who can share knowledge with you all here. Nurjan Begum, I think she is been with Grameen Bank for so many years. I think she's going to share all her experience with you. So just keep waiting. She'll get she in her turn she will be talking. And we have Steve from Grameen Foundation, almost 30 years of experience working in the rural development space, right from he works across the globe. And that's right from US. So he has so much of wealth of experience he's going to be sharing. Corazon, she has been one of the earliest supporters of Dr. Yunus and the friends of Professor Yunus. I know her from her Philippine days. Maybe she's forgotten. She has done some wonderful work. I think we should wait to hear from her. I can't wait much longer. And we have Zahirul Alam, I think a close associate again with Tameen and Professor. He has been the person from IDF, started IDF in Bangladesh. I'm waiting to hear from his experience of actually looking at how we can do rural development. And our old friend, Mr. Shankar, is from Nepal. I think he's been one of the very early supporters of Grameen Bank and Professor Yunus. And I think, I don't know, I can't even count the number of years he's been putting together a number of institutions he actually works with in Nepal. This changed the face of the poor in Nepal country. I have so much of wealth of knowledge here. I hope we will make justice with the 1 hour time we have. But just to kickstart, I would like to say, I like to quote one thing. I live in Bangalore city. I think it's just it is in the outskirts of southern India. I mean, and I live in outside that. We used to get vegetables in from the villages nearby. When we were running microfinance program, I used to walk early in the morning. That's when vegetable was supplied. I used to see in the outskirts, in the villages around, there was a lot of vegetable vendors who were actually selling vegetables. I was actually very surprised the kind of range of vegetables they had. So I casually asked, "How you all growing all these vegetables here?" Surprising to me, they said, "No, sir, we actually bring it from the city and then sell it here in the outskirts." I said, "You guys are growing the same thing here. Why are you bringing it from city?" So they said, "This is how the market works here. So we have to, there are vendors who come and buy from the vegetables from here, who take it to the city, and we as the sellers have to go there to get the same vegetables to sell it for the local population." So that's been the story in which I have experienced. From that time, I felt, what's wrong with this? We are actually taking all what is produced locally, sending it somewhere far away, and then trying to bring it back for local consumption. So much of wastage we are doing and so much of markups we are doing. So the local people are actually have to pay a higher price because of that. And At the same time, there is there is a cost of mobility here from one place to another. We are burning oil for that, and that's the kind of economy what we are creating. So I think that's been a challenge. And of course, now with the pandemic, I'm sure we all have got experience of looking at how COVID has impacted rural areas. A lot of produce which was there could not even move out because the channels for actually selling the rural produce was actually into the urban areas or into the international markets. So all those were shut down. So a lot of farmers who produce a lot of good food, I think I'm sure they could not sell it. Perishable items, I mean, it's all under losses. So at the same time, a lot of local, they are not connected to the local markets at all, most of the farmers. That's where the challenge is. So probably in this session, I'm sure with all the experience of each one of you, I think we can probably look at how do we resolve this issue of building rural economy. Professor Yunus has written a fabulous article, which was, I'm sure, it will be circulated to you all the viewers here. It talks about how we can actually recreate rural economy by bringing in lots of resources to the rural areas. If you have not taken a look at it, please do take a look at this. So without further delay, I would like to invite each of my panelists. I think we all get about 8 minutes to make your presentation. So I would like to start from Nurjahan madam, from who will probably talk to her about her experience of dealing with the rural communities. Over to you, Nurjahan madam.
Thank you, Suresh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. You know, we are going with COVID-19, and we saw that during our COVID, still we are in lockdown. So thousands and thousands of people are going back to their village by walking because all the transport is stopped. So people took their all belongings on head and walking by foot miles and miles. Many people lost their job. According to government source, before COVID, 20% was unemployment rate, but now it is 40%. Maybe in the near future, Bangladesh governments will face another big problem because of artificial intelligence. Robot may come, or 7th generation machine or 8th generation machine can start to work. So people may lose their job. Maybe it will be more danger than COVID. I think, you know, Bangladesh was one of the poorest country during 70s and 80s in the Southeast Asia. So Dr. Yunus came up with a microcredit, and we built Grameen Bank, and this is the longest story. And Grameen Bank provide microcredit to the poor people in the village, mostly the women. So the poor women grab these opportunities, and through microcredit, these women change their family life and also the social life. We found that if credit goes to the women, it can bring much more benefit to whole family. So during this time, from knowledge from Grameen, experience from Grameen, we have trained a lot of other NGOs also. So they also join in this journey. During 2017 and 2018, over Bangladeshi taka 1,500 million was disbursed to 34.5 million borrower. GB itself disbursed in average more than $100 million. Till May 21, 9 million borrowers saved $1,900 million US dollar as their savings. Their savings is more than their loan amount. Their outstanding loan amount till May 21, $1,700 million. In 1997, Dr. Yunus has taken to set up mobile phone company. Grameen phone was established. GB Grameen Bank give the credit to the poor village women, and they buy the mobile phone. So with this mobile phone, poor women became a phone lady, This initiative changed our rural village and also people, Bangladesh. Then Bangladesh made a strong progress on development indicators such as life expectancy, literacy, sanitation, and combating malnutrition. During our government's industry also expanded and also significantly increased. But more than 6 million workers working in this sector. Bangladesh is now a developed country, but our rural economy is still depend on the urban. Rural economy act as a supplier of unskilled labor and agricultural input. Lack of proper marketing plan, policy, finance, electricity, internet, technology, proper initiative is resulting rural economy depend on urban. Moreover, too much profit-oriented syndicator in rice mill, in fertilizer, in everywhere also be barrier. So this is the high time to change COVID. COVID comes as a disaster, but it also helps us to be a more conscious, to be a more organized, and think from a new perspective. To cater our development needs in institutions like Grameen Bank. According to Dr. Yunus, micro enterprise bank can be formed. More than 75% people are working in informal sector. So this bank will be fully dedicated to serve rural poor, to boost their informal sector. Young generation may have more priority, like Grameen Social Business Fund. Grameen Social Business Fund providing equity to our borrowers' children. It is not a matter of policy, only the providing equity. It is a process to help them to grow up with a proper nursing, mentoring, training, to be a successful entrepreneur. Every day, end of the day, they have to send SMS about their business information in a particular format. Within 6 years' time, 70,000 entrepreneurs received nearly $78 million as equity. Our all rules and regulations are entrepreneurial friendly. So micro entrepreneur bank will be social business bank to support rural people in the sector with equity facility to turn themselves into successful entrepreneur. To meet these basic and fundamental needs of the local people, we also need to build high quality standard educational institution, school, college, universities, vocational training center, medical college, nursing college, hospital in the village. Because we all know why people not only migrate in the city for livelihood. This is a major cause, but at the same time, people comes to city for their health support, better health facilities, better education, better comfortable life. And so if we can provide all this to their doorstep, so I think they will not come to the city. To meet the basic and fundamental needs of the local people, we also need build high quality standard hospital or few different hospital so that they can come to all this for treatment. All NGOs also can make a fund. I think I already mentioned here the finance is also one problem, and also some other logistics support also is the one problem. But if this new generation gets sufficient finance, they can change themselves. According to our social business, according to our entrepreneur, we saw our 3 company is running a social business fund, and from this fund, we already given 70,000 new entrepreneurs this equity fund. And I just want to share one story of a woman. Her name was Taslima. She was one of the borrower's daughter. Her mother bought one swing machine for her because she wants to do that. Then after she trained on a swing machine and she started to work. Then few years back, he got married, and her husband doesn't like her to continue this program. But now today, she have 4 shops, and her capital is 10 lakh taka. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nurjan. It's so lovely to hear that the savings of the borrowers is more than the loan. So actually, Professor Yunus says the bank is actually a borrower from the borrowers themselves. So bank is not lending, but in fact, bank is the net borrower. That's an interesting thing. And what you mentioned about the finance and logistics support is needed for the new generation entrepreneurs. If that is provided, the local economies can be improved. Thank you for that very nice statement. Now I'll stay in Bangladesh, and can I ask Zahirul Alam to actually make his presentation for 6-7 minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Let me start with my heartiest respects to our beloved Nobel laureate Professor Yunus sir, distinguished participants, panelists, moderator, good afternoon, and a very warm greetings to all from Bangladesh. So our topic is building the rural economy as an independent economy. This topic is very important and very timely for Bangladesh and many other countries. So I have used the information and findings of scholarly articles on rural economy and rural development, and my also observation for the last 50 years. And especially I consulted the paper of our Nobel laureate, Professor Yunus, related to social business, related to this rural development, rural economy, and other articles I consulted to prepare this discussion. So now let us see what is the present scenario of rural economy. So rural economy, in fact, these days, if we consider the developing countries, dependent on urban economy. And also these foreign employment markets, especially our unemployed youth, unskilled and skilled laborers from rural areas. So they are now very, very, very much taking risks sometimes to go abroad for hunting the employment. So it's also, as Ms. Nurjan also indicated, this is a supplier of cheap labor and raw materials, and it also experiences unemployment, underemployment, and seasonal unemployment. It also experiences low wage, poor value chain, poor marketing network, and especially costly transportation expenses because of unofficial tools on the way, especially for the agricultural products when they take it from village to urban areas. On the ways, they have to give a lot of tolls, which make it expensive. So it's low prices. And another thing in the rural areas is these days is a low quality of education and lack of access of quality health services, lack of access of the entrepreneurs, especially the missing middle, I should say, from these borrowers of microfinance and also banks. There's a great missing middle, and those people are the really entrepreneurs, and they don't have access to finance. They don't have any legal and business guidance. And overall, the lack of valuation is, I think, very prominent here in rural economy. So let us see how, what is the scenario of independent rural economy, how it looks like. Then we can see what we have in Bangladesh and what interventions we can make, what we additional things need to make it, to make an independent rural economy in Bangladesh. So scenario of independent rural economy, as I see, is free from independence on others, extend its own strength, serves own people, develops on the strength of its own people, built by the efforts of the own people, have access to technology, a strong institutions of micro-entrepreneurs, processing plants of agriculture and dairy products, a strong value chain of rural products built by the micro-entrepreneurs, a separate non-profit social bank for micro-entrepreneurs, access to quality of health services, access to quality of education, and children's park facilities, sports and culture, and appropriate waste management and recycling system. Yeah, this is what, in fact, I see. There's maybe other things. So let us see what is the situation in Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, I think it is the same as we earlier I mentioned. But during the first years, I think we have a lot of good achievements, as Nurjan also mentioned. So first one is our Gramin model in Bangladesh. And then we have been able to create a microcredit regulatory authority. It's especially for the non-profit microfinance institutions. And following the Gramin model in Bangladesh, I think you will find now it's about more than 200 good MFIs, dedicated MFIs. So that's also achievement. And we have this Full Economy Foundation. They are also working for the employment generation and working in the rural areas. And we have a forum of microfinance institutions who also involved in lobbying and also advising the microfinance and regulatory authority. So another thing, we have comparatively good rural communication in most places, and also mobile network, as Nuzhan told, and a culture that develops through practicing the Gramin model, the other MFIs. So it's a repaying of loans by small investors. That's also our great achievement. So another thing, I think about the COVID impact, Nurjan already stated, and I'm just sharing findings of recent, in the last week. Survey report was which was undertaken by BRAC and other, and there the people incomes reduced and lost jobs. So yeah, the people condition are very harsh and rough. So let me see now what we need to do in Bangladesh to create an independent rural economy. So prepared laws and policies favorable in environment, completely our government should be responsible for it, and creation of a dedicated ministry for micro-entrepreneurs to provide legal, institutional, and support to the micro-entrepreneurs, promotion of micro-entrepreneurs who can solve the social and economic and environmental problems through social business, establishment of a specialized social micro-entrepreneurs bank through an ordinance in order to provide required finance and support to micro-entrepreneurs. So this bank should be non-profit and will have a sponsor, not shareholders, not investors for profit. These banks will finance without mortgage collateral and will have banking power, including deposits. And then the MFIs, banks, and those who satisfy can apply for the license. So if we have these government policies and also the bank, rural entrepreneurs bank, and social business to solve the problem, then I think it would be, I think, easier for us to go to achieve our goals. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zahirullah. I think it was so nice. So your key thing which you said was about rural areas need to have proper communication systems to so that they can develop into a good economy. And of course, you also touched upon a lot of policy support which is required. I'm not going to repeat everything what you said, but I think it was a very wonderful presentation and nice idea. I'll stay closer to Bangladesh and India, and I would like to ask Mr. Shankar to make his presentation now, and then we will go to Philippines and then to US. If you don't mind, Steve, you can speak in the last.
Thank you, Suresh. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Muhammad Yunus for inviting me to be in this very important session. Distinguished participants and fellow speakers. This rural economy to be developed as an independent economy is really a very important concern shown by Yunus Center. This is really very important issue. And we have been faced with host of problems. See, we still have poverty as great challenge. We have unemployment increasing in rampant way. These are two really very, very big challenges that we have been facing. And until we have improvements, until we have changes in poverty, until we have reduced poverty, and we have tackled the problem of unemployment, I think the rural economy will not be able to answer the problems, answer the needs of the hour. See, we have microfinance institutions now all over the country. It was started by Professor Yunus with $27 in Jobra village, but now it has spread all over the world. We too in Nepal, we have practiced microfinance for now more than 3 decades. And it was introduced as a social business to tackle the problem of poverty. But with due course of time, microfinance is getting commercialized. Instead of addressing the problem of poverty, it has become now a means to make money, means to raise income of the concerned people who are involved in the promotion of microfinance institutions. So we have noticed some agony. And government and the MFIs have not been discharging the responsibility in responsible manner. So we feel that unless the MFIs and the government change their perception, their policy, their way of dealing, way of tackling the problem, things may not change. So we have been urging microfinance institutions in Nepal now to address poverty. With 30 years of our performance in microfinance sector, we still have 1.2 million people under the level of poverty. This is really a serious thing. Of course, when we started microfinance, the level of poverty was 44%. And due to the untiring efforts of the MFI, during that time, in the early stage, microfinance institution had taken microfinance as a social business. And with that, the poverty in Nepal has, to more extent, it was due to the contribution of the microfinance. It came down to 24%. And again, it came down to even 18% last year. But after the COVID, it again went up to 24%. So this is really a serious challenge. And without answering this problem of poverty, I think the economy, rural economy, will not be independent, will not be sustainable in independent way. So this is really a very important issue that we have to tackle. And we have now more than 180 microfinance institutions, both cooperative and financial institution. Microfinance institution registered as a company and also registered as banking institution by the central bank. So there are 20,000. Now it has tremendously provided employment to many of the young boys and the girls. This is really good thing. There are now 20,000 people working in microfinance sector. So this poverty, people below the poverty line, 1.2 million families could be tackled by these 20,000. If one of the staff tackle 60 members, the problem of poverty can be tackled within 3-4 years' time. It is not a difficult task. So another thing is unemployment. And most of our people, they see they don't have future in Nepal, especially the young people. And they go to Middle East or the Gulf countries or Malaysia in search of jobs. And they have been mostly doing 3G works. And we have noticed here that in average, 3 dead bodies are coming every day. See, but they don't want to stay at their homestead. And so the mentality is among the young generation now, which we have to reverse is, they feel that they don't have future in the country. I talked to few children of the microfinance institutions who have graduated from the high school, and they said that we don't have future here. So,
No, Mr. Shankar, I think the bell was ringing because the time was out. I mean, you can just take 30 seconds to finish your talk.
Okay. So I think the microfinance institution and the allied institution should tackle the problem of poverty and the unemployment. And there are ways to do it, and we can do it. Microfinance institutions have capacity to do it, and we'll do it, and we will be working towards this. And we will follow the theme, no going back. And if we follow the no going back thing, then we will reach the destination. I feel so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. It was uh, you highlighted that then how policy is important and how government should intervene and put appropriate policies and how we should change the mindsets of the youngsters, say about their country can actually support their livelihoods and create good employment opportunities for them. Thank you very much for that. Madam Kozana, can you please talk us about how your women, Negro, what is it? How Negroes Women for Tomorrow Foundation is helping the rural communities.
Good day, everyone. First of all, I'd like to greet Professor Yunus. Happy birthday yesterday. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this distinguished panel. When we started Negroes Women for Tomorrow Foundation in the early 80s, it was primarily because the sugar industry in our island called Negros was collapsing. People in the rural areas either lost their jobs in the sugarcane farms or were forced to work for a very small pay. We knew very well that rural economies would not survive if they depended on the same things they have always been used to, working as laborers, earning a meager income from the big planters, or sell the raw agricultural produce in small volumes. The income they earned was not enough for them and their families to have a decent future. Losing their dignity just so they can survive. Hence, we named our program Dunganon, which means honorable, so that when our clients improve their lives, they regain what they have lost, their dignity. As we got to know Professor Yunus and started replicating Grameen Bank in this country, we began to see hope. Women started their own micro enterprises, opening stores that sold goods that were once available only in the urban centers, processing raw materials into wonderful products that the Philippines could be proud of, and even creating products and offering services that one would not have thought of possible in the rural areas. The rural economy became alive with economic activity as people were confident about their future and their dreams realized. Indeed, given the opportunity, people, especially the poor, are able to make sure that they and their families survive and even help create businesses needed that would uplift them out of poverty. Fast forward to 2021, we have 193 branches in more than half of the country. 65% of those are in the rural areas. Yet, we still see economies in these areas dependent on the nearby cities and the greater urban economy. Have we done enough to count? Have we not done enough to counter this tide? Are we not lending enough money to these communities? Are business support development services severely lacking in these areas? Or are the effects of typhoons, earthquakes, and other calamities, including this pandemic, just too much for them to recover from? These are questions I ask myself as I reflect on the impact of 37 years of work that we have done. Reflecting on the changes that have happened, I see that the infrastructure has been immensely developed. A lot of farm to market roads, bridges, ports were built to connect the islands. Communication facilities and the like are already in the rural areas. More than ever, schools and universities, capacity building trainings facilities are very much accessible now. Information has never been this easily within their reach, thanks to the widespread use of smartphones in the rural communities that has given them access to the internet. Couriers, freight forwarders, and other transport and logistics facilities can transport products with ease. Microfinance providers, rural banks, pawn shops, and even fintech players are proliferating as well in the countryside. Indeed, the rural communities are awash with tools needed for success. But why are they not flourishing as much as they need to? I honestly think one thing is missing in this equation. It is the correct mindset that we and policymakers have. We have the wrong notion that we know what is best for these communities and that we have the solution at hand. We need to understand that building a strong rural economy is not an offshoot or a ripple effect of having a strong urban economy. Rural communities can flourish within and amongst themselves. Yes, the infrastructures that we have built have benefited them, but we need to do more. It isn't enough that we build schools. We need to be offering courses and trainings that could ignite the entrepreneurial spirit of students. Business development and support services must not only be attuned to their language, but also to their practices. Government policy and regulations needs to focus on easing access to starting and registering a business, enabling a wider range of capital to flow to these communities, promoting and protecting rural industries, and ensure simple and progressive taxation. We need to offer to the poor the same financial products that we offer to traditional bank clients, having taken the collateral requirement and expect them to do well. We need to ensure that the financing we provide this for their ventures fit the cash flow of their enterprises. People in these communities have the opportunities, and it is our duty to be able to open their eyes to them. We need to follow them to take advantage of such, provide the necessary support systems, including the provision of responsive credit products, and take a backseat when they start to thrive. In essence, this is what we at Tunganon see as our duty in the next decade. We intend to enable strong and vibrant rural communities to thrive where they are. We envision community members that grow produce from the land or catch from the waters, which other members of the community will process to give high value goods. Then in turn, they are able to sell everywhere through the power of the internet. We also see the youth within these communities building startups and community-based enterprises that address local issues and are able to find resources that will allow them to start and grow these ventures. We see community members working with one another and addressing concerns, especially in the areas of health, education, and environment. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. It was so nice. Let's quickly move to Steve, and then probably we'll have maybe we'll have some time to come back and answer a few questions and for second round. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Suresh. It's a great honor to be with all of you, with all the panelists. On behalf of Grameen Foundation, I'm very honored to wish Professor Muhammad Yunus a happy birthday and to express our deep thanks for all the amazing work that he continues to lead us all through. I want to share a few slides if I can. Just to tee it up, the Grameen Foundation is very proud of the fact that over the last 10 years, we've supported in excess of 300,000 community agents. These are both small-scale entrepreneurs who provide a variety of technology-enabled services in their communities. There are also rural extension agents working in projects and in social enterprises that we have supported. By far and away, the most important social enterprise that Grameen Foundation has is something called TaraWorks, which is a client relationship management software that links rural agents to a variety of information, financial services, et cetera. This slide's to represent, let me go back just if I can for a second. The first slide is to represent the fact that, you know, we use the example, the expertise of microfinance in terms of peer support, promoting gender equity and women's empowerment, market engagement, with new tools, with tools of mobile money and with tools of digitized data that helps us to understand and to promote better types of financial services to the rural poor. And we work in digital financial services, in applications to agriculture, and in women's economic empowerment. And we're very proud of the fact that we've created extensive networks of community agents, women in rural areas who are the representatives of a wide variety of financial and information support in their local communities. Let's move to the next slide if we can. The end result is really to try to improve access to secure ways of savings, borrowing, and making payments. You know, we're expanding the range of financial services that help to improve financial health and agricultural activities. We expand digital and financial literacy. As I mentioned, we're supporting agent networks that are largely females who serve other women. And we develop a business case not only for the social business that supports the entrepreneurs, but also for the entrepreneurs themselves. We'll go to the next slide if we can. I've chosen an example. You'll see a wide range of programs. I'll just highlight, you know, the Grameen Mitra program in India, for example, is one of our flagship programs, and it really is now growing exponentially, providing self-employment to female community-based agents in a wide array of areas in India. We'll go to the next slide if I can. I've chosen to speak about the work that we do within Uganda in the refugee community there. Bidi Bidi is the second largest refugee camp in the world, with in excess of 200,000 refugees. And these refugees face enormous challenges, not only accessing formal financial services, but also restrictions in their movement, their ability to find work. And through digital financial services, we're actually able to provide direct mobile money support, to support with digital financial literacy, to create agent networks within the communities, and to create a more vibrant local economy, providing a variety of pay-as-you-go utilities, clean cook stoves, access to health and life insurance, and agricultural inputs to an isolated refugee community. So we'll go to the next slide if we can. And our work really revolves around creating village savings and loans and digitizing the records, the record keeping, and the group management, helping the refugee community to secure their savings in formal bank accounts and within an e-wallet, creating linkages between local microfinance institutions. Rufi is the main partner there. And I mentioned the financial education and the business skills. We'll go to the next slide. And through this work, we've been able to reach in excess of 40,000 direct beneficiaries with our partner Rufi, and in excess of 200 savings groups that are using our digital platform called LedgerLink. And there's been considerable engagement, particularly with women and youth. This tends to attract youth into the microfinance work. So we'll go to the next. And our future plans are really to continue to expand this work. We do have significant interest to do that, both in country and with supporters in various countries. We're also using data to help with credit scoring of the refugee community so that can expand the amount of lending and financial services that they're able to benefit from. And we're identifying with our MFI partner ways of anticipating client risk and offering products that address some of the risks that they face, in particular health and life. We'll go forward to the next slide. Thank you so much. I tried to keep it to time, Suresh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve. It was so nice that you kept it well within the time. So it's so interesting to see how much of Grameen Foundation work with digital technologies is happening now. Some of them I did not know myself. I know some of them, but I did not know. Thanks for that. I think Lamia wanted to say a few words. Lamia, you want to come in now?
No, I think we wanted to invite Professor Yunus to say something at this session.
Okay.
Because,
Yes.
this is based on what he had presented in that article that was mentioned. And so actually, I don't know whether he's available right now, but at the end of the panel, I think he will join to make some comments. Well, I'm trying to do that.
Is he here now? He wants to say something now, or shall we just take some questions and then come back?
Yeah, why don't you do that? I'm trying to see how I think he's away at the moment. I'm just trying to get him to rejoin the panel.
Okay, great. So from Matthias, do we have any questions to the panel?
Yes, please. We do have a question. So the first question is for Shankarji. You've been thanked for the presentation. And the question is there any, or are there any micro-entrepreneur banks in Nepal dedicated for rural entrepreneurs?
No, we don't have it.
Okay. All right. I'll move on to the next question. I think this is sort of addressed to the entire panel. What is the most significant lesson each of you have learned over your, one consistent lesson which made your operating models work and which has lasted for the last 3 or 4 decades? That's sort of the question which has come through.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know who wants to take that question. Nurjan?
Nurjanapa, you're on mute. I'll unmute you. Yeah.
Okay. So I think for my side, we offer microcredit to change the human being's life. So mindset is very, very important. If we want to do something good for the human being's life, then we have to dedicate my whole work to address this situation. And one thing is very important. It is not in Bangladesh, in all over the world. If credit goes through the women, it can bring much more benefit for the whole family, because who suffer most for poverty? I think she's the mother. If anybody has to stop in the family, she was the first one who was stopped in the family. So poverty is much more women issue than men issue. So this is my answer, that if we can encourage, we can involve women in different ways, and also try to take all the struggle during their path, if during their work, and all the obstacle if you can take, then they can do much better. And it is also very important for the poor people atmosphere of the working place. So Grameen Bank provide housing loan to the poor people. And what Dr. Yunus did, before giving the housing loan, he make a law that if anybody wants to have a housing loan, the land must be in the name of the person. So you see how trickily she did this thing. So when a woman asks for the housing loan, then his or her husband has to transfer a piece of land, or Grameen Bank provide the loan to buy the land, and then later on she can take the loan to build the house. So now you see, when Grameen Bank give this loan, now wife, she is the owner of the house. Now it was difficult for husband to divorce her. So many research have been done with the Grameen Bank, and all this research shows that if women entrepreneur, if women microcredit owner, enable them, give them opportunity, they can change their life. So, and all this research shows that in the Grameen not area, in other areas too, divorce rate sharply came down. So I think my focus is that we should always focus on women, and because women can bring benefit for their children too.
Thank you, Rujaman. I think that probably will answer the question, what is the secret for successful this thing is focus on women, so that women will in turn actually help the whole family to come up. So thank you very much for that answer. Prometheus, we have anything else, or I have one question to all the panelists?
Yes, that was about it, Suresh. You can present your question and then we'll close. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that last 2 minutes of time. I have one question. I think in one of the presentation, or most of the presentation, every one of you talked about social business and how the businesses should be for the benefit of the community. One of the things which I have also observed across for working in this space for so many decades is about, we all start with good intentions, like Mr. Shankar was talking about. Like everybody started as a development project. The microfinance started, or microcredit started like that 3 decades back, but it has become commercialized now. How do we, I think most social businesses, one of the fear we have is it starts with good intentions, but later on they'll become a mission drift. From your own experiences, what is one thing you would like to say for those social business entrepreneurs so that they don't have mission drift? Each one of you can take turns and answer that if you can.
Can I?
Yes.
Can I?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, I think first mindset is very, very important. If you look, Dr. Yunus, when he started microcredit from his own pocket, and if you go back, agricultural farm, first year the farm make loss, second year farm make profit, but due to rise of the product gone down, so people cannot able to pay back the money. So Dr. Yunus pay back from his own pocket. And then third year, this agriculture fund make a profit. So you see, if you look at Grameen Bank, Dr. Yunus' mind always set for poor people. And you see, when Grameen Bank start from the day one, when it became a specialized bank, from the day one, he wants to be, should be 100% for the owner of the bank will be the this poor woman. And initially it was 40% women and 60% the government. He was continuously trying to push. Then it came 75% for the women and 25% for the government. Next, in the caretaker government, it was 100%, but later on, this government rejected. So you have to, your mind would be clear, and your work should be proceed with your mind. So if you are not set up your mind properly, if you are not confirmed that what you actually want to do, and from the day one, from the beginning, you have to start the process. Otherwise, it will go different track. Like, you know, in India, some NGOs, they sold the share to other people. In Grameen, one member, if he wants to leave, she cannot sell her share to other people. She has to sell her share within the Grameen Bank member. So the rules Dr. Yunus made, the procedure he developed is always concentrate on the poor. So this is the more important things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can I say something?
Yes.
I think the one advice I can give to the microfinance practitioners is that they will listen to our clients, and because they have the answers, and they are the ones that will probably tell us where to go, so that we avoid mission drift.
Thank you. Steve?
I say something?
Can I say something?
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yes,
think,
Rahirul.
yeah, another most important factor is government policies. For example, in Nepal, I had a chance to see and visit Nepalese microcredit program, but also visited Shankar's program, and we have also joined some collaboration. So I think Nepal's this quality of microcredit at central level, I observed it was one of the best in terms of quality, in terms of discipline. But what happens now? I think by 2019, all microfinance institutions, which were in fact established with the mission of helping the poor people, transform into shareholder bank. So then this is mainly commercialization of these microfinance institutions to bank. So now they don't have a microfinance institution as such to serve the people. In case of Bangladesh, you have to fight after when government says, then a lot of this drought and some sort of pressure comes to the sector. So now in Bangladesh, as made some foundation by even I mentioned about MRA, about PKSF, it's a contribution of our Nobel laureate Professor Yunus. But we have to struggle for after even the formation of MRA to keep the MRA on right track, and we have to a lot of lobby, a lot of that kind of things I think needs, so that we can, otherwise in Bangladesh also it could have been derailed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Steve and then Shankar. Quickly,
Thank you
because
very
I
much.
think we have
I think the issue it raises on two levels. Certainly for the individual, the social entrepreneur, passion is very important. Focus on mission is critical. But I think also as a sector, we need to build the institutions, the support that social business entrepreneurs need for different parts of their life cycle, for startup, for growth, for exit, because these things don't exist in our current marketplace, and we need to create those structures to help to manage the life cycles of social businesses.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Steve, on that. Shankar, you want to say your last words?
Yes. Initially, I think our microfinance institutions were not commercial. They were very much dedicated to serve the poorest of the poor. And things were going quite well, and they feel super happy to serve the poorest of the poor. But after the shift in the legal arrangement, that time, initially, all the microfinance organizations were registered as social organizations. And later on, the central bank made requirement that they should be converted into microfinance banks, financial institutions. Then they have to follow the regulation of the central bank, and they had floated shares in the market, and the shares were listed. And as the microfinance institution in very first year make good profit, because it was not a new organization. Just they carried out the microfinance operation of the earlier organization. So they could show very good profit. And then in the market, the share price went up to maybe for 100 share, Even now in market, the share of one organization I saw a few days back, 5,000, So the pressure is there on making profit. Profit means they will be able to distribute more dividend. So this way they have been pressurized to go for profit, and there was started mission drift. This is how mission drift started. So there must be some special regulation made by the central bank to direct them to reach the poorest of the poor, like earlier, and then there will be correction. And of course, we have been persuading all the MFIs to go with the poorest of the poor, and but in practice, they could not follow it because they have been pressurized by the shareholders.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Shankar. I think I think all the panelists, I think we'll have to come to an end here, but Professor Yunus is here. He wants to say a few words. Before that, I really liked the entire panel. I think after Professor Yunus speaks, I think probably we will close this session. Prometheus, I think Professor wants to say a few words, so probably please do keep a few minutes for him.
Yes.
I think the whole idea about this to rebuild the rural infrastructure and not have a mission drift. I think all the panelists have really brought out very interesting points out there. One of the key highlights, which I just want to highlight a couple of points there. One is the mindset is required. The first thing to actually go and serve the rural population, and we need to build institutions which actually support the entire life cycle of these rural enterprises and social businesses, so that at different stages, different supports are required, so it's required. Government policies will become an important thing, so otherwise we might have mission drifts, so we need to have appropriate policies to develop rural economies. With these last words, I think I would like to invite Professor Yunus, because he has written a very, very interesting article which was published in some of the great publications in India, and I'm sure it is circulated to everybody. Professor, if you are there, can you come in, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, this is a very important session. All the top brass of microfinance is assembled here. With long, long experiences in the whole region. So you represent accumulated knowledge and accumulated wisdom of microfinance. So that it carried out the discussion in a very important way. You brought out all the issues related to it, how our concepts and our institutions failed us, directed us in the wrong direction. And here, the common theme of the discussion and my discussion also is that particular one institution, the finance institution, how badly it has created the world in a wrong way. It's a disaster. It forgot the people. It just chased money for their shareholders, forgetting everybody else, everything else. And as a result, we created massive problem. And I also mentioned in my paper about the whole issue of unemployment, saying this is all the failure of the financial institution. If you put the finance on the table, nobody will be running after getting a job, because they will be on their own doing things, because that's what they're for, that's what they know, what to be done. This is all known. Simply, it's not possible. Even for your desperate need, when you need a little money, bank is not there. You have to go to the loan shark, another mechanism to squeeze you down. You become totally exhausted by whatever little energy you have. It's taken away by everything that we create around people. So one side, the finance doesn't come. Another, when is it desperate, you have to surrender your home, surrender your valuables, even surrender your children to get some money. So this is the desperation that we brought to this. And we pay no attention to it. The experience that you are providing is showing how it could be done. And you have done it in a way that nobody can deny, nobody can reject all the evidences that you brought to the table. The issue that I say that if you put money on the table, everybody around the table will become entrepreneur, because that is the critical factor what stops people from being an entrepreneur. If people can become entrepreneur, there's no reason for them to rush to any city center. They can do their life, they can carry on their life, where their life is, where they are born, where they know how to survive, how to flourish in their own way. So I said, city is a wrong concept. Again, denying the people is for the advantage of some people. The cities are born. Otherwise, finance and everything could be provided in the rural areas, and they will create their own economy. That's the whole thing. The funding institutions, like you have to send your children to cities to find jobs because village doesn't offer you a job. So job is the only salvation you have. They have to go to the city. Number one. Number two, if you have to, even if you're well off, you don't look for a job, you want to look after your land and so on. You have to send your children to city for education because it's not available at home. I said, why the education has to be located in the city? Many of the most prominent universities in the world are located in the village. That's why they were born, they were created, and so on. In India is an example of a series of beautiful universities, all in rural areas. But now the trend is you have to have the university located in the city center. Otherwise, you're nobody. Then all the people have to come to the city and suffer through all the problems of city life and so on. So this is another one, like a magnet, you are pulling people out of the thing. I said, what microcredit has shown, microcredit is something that reaches out to everybody, known how the technology of it and so on. Now, if you create that microcredit institution, the banks, I was calling it micro-entrepreneurial bank, just a more wider subject, micro-entrepreneurial banks. And I'm qualifying that micro-entrepreneurial bank, learning from the experience that we have gone through microfinance turning into loan sharking. So I said, by legislation, we could create a system where micro-entrepreneurial bank would be social business micro-entrepreneurial bank. If you want to create a micro-entrepreneurial bank, it has to be a social business so that you are doing it for very clear purpose. It's not for making money, but doing the job. So you have to redesign every institution and every concept. Then the problem of these ghettos in the cities and all the ugly things that we see cities producing for us and the rural areas becoming empty. In many countries, literally, rural areas are empty. Japan is the case. In Japan, only the old people live. Young people are gone. For generations, young people live there. It become generation after generation become empty. There's no activity in the rural areas anymore. So that's happening in China. All the young people are going for jobs outside, and all the old people living in the villages and so on and so forth. Again, it's because of the way we created that magnet of a city that everybody has to come, other we force them to do that. So that's the issue that you have been discussing. And I want to add that piece that we have to continue to raise this issue, that redesigning of our mind will redesign the world and we'll have a better life for all of ourselves. Thank you for participating. It's a wonderful discussion.
Thank you, Professor, for that nice points here, which to add to this whole session. In fact, I've been observing in the recent past, during the COVID time now, we have a lot of these people who are actually educated people, but mostly, unfortunately, they're all techies. They've all gone back to their villages and working from there. So I've seen some examples of some of the people who worked with me. They actually created a small shed under a tree because the internet, that is the only place they could reach. One girl who actually was doing a conference calls or whatever, work from home, she could not get the internet at home. So her father put up a small tent or a shed under the tree so that she can work from home from there. So that's been a very interesting change because of this COVID. But of course, COVID is not good, but I know that. But there is something which this COVID has shown us that there's a possibility now for us to rebuild rural economy much easier than probably earlier. So with those words, I think I'll hand over back to Prometheus, and I thank all my panelists for taking all their efforts and explaining all their experience and raising all important issues. And thanks, Professor, for joining our panel. Over to you, Prometheus. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Suresh. Thank you, Professor Yunus, for those concluding and reflection as well. Again, a deep appreciation towards Nurjan Appa, towards Corazon, towards Zahir Bhai, towards Steve. And we must acknowledge Steve for joining this session at an ungodly hour. You have our sincerest appreciation and gratitude. It's an ungodly hour, but you're still here. It only shows your commitment towards the cause, and we thank you for that. And of course, Shankarji as well. With those parting words, we again wish all of you, please stay safe. Circumstances are challenging, and I'm sure we will dial in with you all fairly shortly. With this,
তুমিও ভালো থাকো, তুমি খুব ভালো থাকো।
Thank you. With this, we will conclude the first half of the day. I think it's been an amazing day. We've sort of, and it's sort of very interesting that it's flown so well. We started off with social businesses who are on the ground and giving updates. We've moved on to new ventures. And then, of course, we'd have a major financial institution reaffirm its commitment to microcredit, and then we get to hear of this as well. And of course, the day started off with Lamia conducting a panel with young and upcoming social businesses. So I think we've had the kickstart, and we had the power-packed first half of the day, and we deeply appreciate everyone who's joined so far. Because we're a little off the schedule, we will now break for lunch and networking. Again, for networking, tune into Event T, where you should be able to do that. We are literally going to now go to a break of only 25 minutes, and we will tune back in at 4:30 Dhaka time. So 25 minutes, and we'll return. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll return soon.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.